Welcome to Social and Emotional Learning 101 for Parents, an introduction. Your web moderators today will be myself, and my name is Julia Sarmiento Cohen. I am the supervisor of Social and Emotional Learning in the Office of Teaching and Learning, and I support teachers and students and schools at the Tier 1 level, which means I work with all schools, all students at all levels. And our other moderator today, I will let her introduce herself.
Hi there, my name is Elizabeth Tanner and I am the supervisor of emotional wellness. I work with Hillsborough County Public Schools and I work in the Student Services Division. Student Services comprises of school social workers, counselors, school psychologists, and school nurses. I specifically work within the mental health department. I help to oversee mental health components within our district to make sure that students are getting the appropriate interventions and are getting the interventions not only at the school level, but in the community as well. So I'm very happy to be with you today.
Yes, and we, Elizabeth and I are in different divisions in our district, but we definitely work a lot together. So we are happy to be here with you today, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So some of our session topics today are: what is SEL? Why does it matter? How can we support our child at home? And then where we can find some great resources to support us with SEL. So as we go through our presentation today, we would really like you to focus on this question. And your answer to this question could be a number of different things. We all want great things for our children and for our community. But what we're hoping is that by the end of this presentation, you will see that whatever answer you're choosing or whatever wish you have or hope you have for our students in our community, that social and emotional learning definitely plays a key part in that. And we want you to kind of keep that in mind as we go through our presentation. So of course, what is social and emotional learning? The definition from CASEL, and they are one of the leaders in the field of social and emotional learning with research and best practices. Their definition is what we see on screen, and I'll highlight a couple of things from this definition. SEL is for children and adults. It's for all of us. It also helps with the knowledge, attitudes, and skills to feel and show empathy for others and make responsible decisions. The one thing we really want to stress about social and emotional learning is that it's for all students, it's for all adults, it's a skill that has to be practiced. It's a skill that you have to continually make sure that you're keeping at the forefront. It's not like, you know, you meet one of the competencies that we will review in a few minutes and then you're done with it. Like, I mastered SEL, I'm done for the day, I already know what I'm doing. It is not linear. It is it's a process. So, and just to take away also that these are skills that are for everyone. So some of the 5 competencies that are set by CASEL are self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. And we will show you a quick video that gives you a brief overview of all of our competencies.
Social and emotional skills are the essential skills for success in school, work, and life.
Social emotional learning centers their mind and body. It reduces their emotional tension so they can be open to new content and material. We find that academic outcomes increase exponentially when students are nurtured, loved, and cared for, that we get much more out of them when we first address social emotional needs. So for us, it's actually an academic intervention and not just an emotional one.
If we expect students to be college and career ready, it's important for us to focus on these skills and competencies: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. Self-awareness is the ability to identify your emotions, to be able to tie thoughts and feelings to behaviors.
We find that self-awareness is one of the hardest things for young people. Being aware of their own body space and the impact of their words and emotions on other people. So a lot of the work we do is reflective through conflict mediation, through circles, through journaling, having them see their own impact on the world and then how to shift that or make a different choice next time.
Self-management is the ability to self-motivate, to have self-control, to regulate one's emotions.
In the classroom, that may be a breathing exercise, or that might be counting to 5, or taking a break.
So with students who don't really know how to deal with their anger or don't really know how to resolve conflict, we're giving them a tool that helps them deal with it in a less stressful way.
Social awareness is about embracing diversity, showing empathy for others. Activities might include service learning projects, addressing social justice issues. Role-playing is a great opportunity for students to address how a person might have felt in a conflict on the playground.
We're going to see if other people have had some of the very same experiences around bullying that we've had.
You're in my boat if you have a bully now.
Wow, I see a lot of people.
Relationship skills are important in project-based learning. It's the ability to work cooperatively with someone, to resolve conflict.
It's the one skill you need your whole life. You may not need calculus tomorrow, but you have to know how to work in relationship, whether it's for a coworker or a life partner. You have to know how to handle conflict and how to handle challenges.
Sometimes at recess, Marnie would come over and just start talking about us and saying mean things.
Is it your job to make Danae's job at school hard?
No, I know it's a form of bullying, and sometimes I'll say sorry to her.
So you choose to be someone's ally and make a better choice.
Responsible decision-making is considering the well-being for self and others. It's evaluating the consequences for various behaviors or actions. We do this through shared agreements, one-to-one problem solving, or having students debate an issue.
If you were like, hey, Kashida, what can how much does an A cost in this class? And you took out your wallet and I was like, I think $50 would work. Which one of us would be corrupt in that case?
You're the one that's asking for the money?
We're truly teaching these students to be productive citizens. We're teaching them life skills. We're teaching them how to problem solve effectively. We're teaching them how to be resilient.
I think of all the billions of dollars we've spent on Title I and all these intervention programs, and when all is said and done, what do we have to show for it? I think we're trying to teach technical things instead of devoting some of the resources to teach who you are as a person. Once you know who you are, then learning becomes exciting because you've already established a discipline.
It's important for teachers and principals to understand that it can't be a binder off the shelf. It can't be something that happens from 2:15 to 4:30 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It has to be part of the school culture.
Giving teachers flexibility, giving them a range of skills, giving them different ways that it can look, and allowing them to take their own personality and match that to what they want in their classroom has been the best way to get authentic, true practice.
If we continue to do what we've always done, we're always going to get what we always got. Is that good enough? I don't think it's good enough for the 21st century. We need to be the outliers to try things that have never been tried and see if they work. What are we waiting for?
So now we're back. So we had a great overview with that video. I really love showing that to my parents. I love showing it to teachers and administrators because it really does give you a really great overview of what social emotional learning is and what it isn't. And I think the one thing we want to stress throughout this whole presentation is that these are skills that have to be taught. And it's really hard to control ourselves or to control our emotions when no one's really taught us how to do that. It's a skill that we've learned. And we will also talk later on in our presentation on how at home and our families and our parents are they play such a critical role in that piece in supporting their students' social and emotional development. So now with SEL, it always starts in the classroom. We teach lessons and curriculum that explicitly teaches how to practice these skills in a social environment, in school, outside of school. And then we have the whole school model, where you have school-wide practices and policies to support student social and emotional growth and development. So we have different programs like PBIS, we have CHAMPS, we have different frameworks that help us teach these school-wide best practices, and being able to have our teachers, administrators model what good social and emotional learning skills and adult competencies look like. And then of course you see that outer layer. We also have to have support at home and in our communities to support these critical skills. And for our next section, we're going to talk about why does SEL matter? So now I'm going to hand it over to our second moderator, Ms. Tanner, to go over some of the reasons why we should care about social emotional learning.
Okay, thank you, Julia. So if we look at this slide and read this quote, all learning is social, all learning is emotional. And this is so true because our students in the classrooms, they cannot learn when their social and emotional needs are not being met. We know that our students are in classrooms, they're learning through content delivery, but it's not just the content that the teacher is delivering on how they learn, it's also through social interactions. When our students work together in groups, when they build relationships with their teacher, when they handle conflict, all of those skills are needed in order for their abilities to make good relationships and academically succeed. All of those kind of factors come into play for a student to be academically successful in the classroom. And when students don't have those skills, when they're not sure how to relate to others, when they're not sure how to problem solve, when they work on their impulses instead of really applying those social skills needed to be a good student, then they're missing out in academics. They're missing out on learning how to cooperate with others. So it's up to us as educators to make sure that they have those skills. We want to present students with opportunities for them to not only gain the social emotional learning skills that are necessary, but practice them within the classroom, practice them at school with the whole building, and then of course practice them at home with you, with their parents, siblings, and other relatives to make sure that they become well-rounded and able to handle social situations. So if we look at this next slide, it's so important that social emotional learning can really help us with being more equitable. We know that SEL both fosters and depends on an equitable learning environment. If a student feels respected, if they feel valued, if they feel affirmed in their educational interests and their individual interests, they will feel more connected to school itself. And that's where we feel that SEL will play such a big role in ensuring that kids feel safe, they feel supported. SEL can't really do this alone, but when we practice these skills, when we're teaching our kids the importance of building relationships, of understanding how our interactions with others are so important, and how we can be socially successful with others. We're teaching them to be inclusive. We are teaching them to be equitable with others, no matter what race, what religion, what social economic status, what have you. All of these different cultural differences don't matter when we have taught these skills that say everyone counts and everybody should be included, and everybody should have the opportunity to learn in a very safe environment. So when we look at the question below, how can SEL help us create a more inclusive schools? The biggest takeaway with that is that we are stressing the importance of responsible decision-making, being self-aware, and knowing how to communicate appropriately and respectfully to others. So there is a lot of research around SEL, and I have put, Julie and I have put some statistics here, and we'll go through some of what the research says, but I urge you to look on your own and research how social emotional learning impacts students, adults, and others in the community. We know that when our students practice social emotional learning skills, they have improved attitudes about their self. The actual classroom environment is more positive, and there's 11% point gain on standardized achievement tests, which is exactly what we want to see. We know that there's a link to when students have these SEL skills, their academic scores go up because they are feeling more included and they are more connected to school and they are more focused on the academics. What we also see is that there are fewer conduct problems in the classroom. Students are less stressed, and there is lower drug use. Students are not doing these maladaptive or choices of self-medicating or going to drugs because they have the skills needed to cope with difficulties within their life. And all adults benefit too. If you can see at the bottom, teachers who possess social and emotional competencies are more likely to stay in the classroom longer. They're happier at work because they have built relationships with students and other adults on the campus. And then looking there are statistically significant associations between measured social emotional skills in kindergarten and young adult outcomes across multiple domains. So we see that in educational employment, criminal activity, substance abuse, and mental health. So I just wanted to talk to you about some of the strategic plan objectives and how SEL really ties into mental health. We know that every student should be provided with social emotional learning skills in the classroom every day and have opportunities to practice that. But some students need more individualized or repeated instruction on some of these strategies. So what we want to do is work with the counselors and the psychologists and the social workers within our school buildings to target students that need that extra instruction on social emotional learning skills. And that can either be done in small group or one-on-one counseling lessons, or maybe a counselor going to the classroom more often and providing some SEL competencies to the students. And some of our partnerships that are CASEL approved, which means they're research-based, is Second Step, which is a curriculum for grades pre-K through 8, and Sanford Harmony, which is a curriculum on social emotional learning for grades K through 6. And these curriculums, because they're evidence-based, really help teachers provide the social emotional learning skills to students. It provides them with activities, with definitions, with opportunities for students to practice. Sometimes students watch videos on social emotional learning, and the students very much so enjoy these type of activities provided through those curriculums. So we have really, in our district in Hillsborough County, provided school sites with these curriculums at our elementary and middle school sites. We have trained our student services team to implement a lot of these curriculums in the classroom and in small group. And what the impact of that is that research shows that when we teach these social emotional learning skills in the classroom and in small group or individually, it has a positive impact on mental health variables, which means that the more we teach these skills, the less likely they are to develop a mental health disorder. It's a pro-social and protective factor. Okay, so moving on, this slide is so important because we know that different types of communities and folks within our community know that social emotional learning is so important. The demand is high. Everyone, whether it be a district personnel or a principal or an employer or a teacher, would like to see and know the importance of social emotional learning skills. They want to see these skills being taught, and they want to see the students practicing them. If we look at the bottom, there's a statistic that says 3 out of 5 parents give greater importance to their children being happy and not overly stressed than doing well in school. And that's very important. We want our children to thrive. We want them to be socially aware, but we most importantly want them to be happy and not stressed. And when you teach social emotional learning skills, we're giving them the tools needed to be happy and understand what to do when they do feel stressed. And then when we talk about our students, the majority of our high school and recent grads agree that going to school that focuses on developing SEL skills would help better prepare them for life after high school. So when they are applying and graduating and then they're applying for jobs, when they're going to college and meeting new people, they must heavily depend on these social skills to get through the next chapter in their life. Okay, so I think we're going to turn it back over to our first moderator, Ms. Julia, to answer the question of how can I support my child at home with social emotional learning?
And thank you, Elizabeth, for all of that great research. And all of that research is also very current. It is within the last 5 years. So this is social emotional learning has been researched for over 30 years, but that is very recent research for you and for our parents. So you understand that it's something that is very much at the forefront. So how can you, as a parent, caregiver, guardian, how can you support SEL at home? So these are some 10 quick tips. This was actually put together by a task force at CASEL that worked with a bunch of different organizations to come up with some of these tips for helping your student at home, so or your child. So number one, that we need to focus on strengths. We need to focus on what our students and your child at home are doing well. It's very hard when we see our students come home and they're struggling academically, and we go straight to something negative that they're doing. So as a parent at home, trying to focus on what they're doing well, focus on the positives, and then we can go into how we can help with what the problem is at the moment. Another thing is following up on consequences with behavior, either positive or negative reinforcement. Making sure that we don't make those empty threats as parents is, if you do this one more time, you're going to take the PlayStation away or whatever it is, that there is a consequence for that. So if we say things like that, it's very important for us as parents and caregivers and guardians at home to make sure that we follow up on that consequence. And asking children how they feel. We really need to start talking about that it's okay to feel a certain way. Emotions are not good or bad. We are told several times that an emotion is a good emotion or a bad emotion. That is a very, as a myth, it's a very bad myth. Feelings are either uncomfortable or comfortable. We can never tell someone how to feel. I've often heard parents and even teachers say, stop crying. You don't have to cry. Why are you crying? Or why is that bothering you? It's very important to let us know that children, adults, and especially at home, it's okay to go through that emotion. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel down about something or upset, angry, or frustrated. What's not okay is the behavior that comes after it. So if I'm angry, it's not okay that I put my hands on my sibling or another child, or start kicking chairs and being angry. That's why when we practice our SEL skills, we teach children ways to calm down and how to self-manage. So staying calm and when we're angry as parents, and I know it is very hard to do this because sometimes we have our own frustrations and things with work and life and family, but especially when we are trying to solve a problem with one of our students or your child at home, is trying to stay as calm as possible. Avoid mocking your child when they're going through something, and it may seem very innocent and like you're picking on your child, or you're just trying to quote unquote toughen them up. Sometimes this can have a negative effect on our children. Being willing to apologize and notice that we are not perfect and it's okay, and letting our children see that as parents, sometimes we make mistakes, but we have to apologize when we make those mistakes, and show our children and model for our children what a healthy emotional intelligence and strong social emotional skills look like in us as adults and as parents. Being able to give our children choices, asking questions to solve difficult tasks versus just giving them the answer, probing our children to help them find the answer themselves and really help them think metacognitively about how they're thinking about their thinking and how they're solving problems. Reading books and stories together, this is one way to support your students' social and emotional and academic development at home. It's just being able to read to them, having them read out loud, and encouraging, sharing, and helping. Because if we're doing this at home and you're encouraging your child to be a part of the solution, being a part of those problem solving at home and helping with things around the house and sharing how they feel, it really does translate into how they come into the school environment. And then just some key points to consider. SEL, the foundation of it always begins at home. You are their first, the parent, the guardian, the caregiver, whoever is at home with our children, you are their first teacher. Children learn about emotions from their parents. They're watching it. They're watching us. Remember that social emotional learning skills, they're modeled. It is modeled behavior. So what are our children seeing at home? When things don't go well with us as parents, or if we're not perfect, things happen, but what are they learning from us about how we solve situations and how we handle our own emotions? It's so important to learn that they're always watching us. We're their first teacher at home. And I know as parents, we don't really think of ourselves this way, but you are that emotion coach. You are the one coaching your child through their emotions, when they're sad, when they hurt themselves, when they fall down, when they feel frustrated because they can't get the answer to a question. You are the person that is coaching them through that process. So just if we kind of keep that in mind, that actually helps us at home as parents realize that we are their teacher through that process. Expressing emotion is powerful. Just remember that it's so powerful to be able to model for our students and our children at home that how to handle situations in an emotionally healthy way. SEL lessons that your students are receiving at the school sites, they translate and they come home to you at home. So what they're learning at school, if we can practice those same skills, and if we remember that visual about classroom, school-wide, and then community and home-wide, that what our students are learning and what we're doing in our schools to help strengthen those SEL skills, that hopefully they can also be practiced at home. And it's so important. The research has shown, and this comes from research from CASEL, all of these things to consider come from research from CASEL and different partners with CASEL, is that you, as in the parent, the guardian, the caregiver, you are valued. As much as that teenager or that student or your child can tell you that they're angry with you or you don't know anything, believe me, the research is compelling that says that you are so valued. You are the person that you're their first teacher, and they look up to you. Your students, your children look up to you. And just to remember that even in those times when we don't feel like our children or our kids are listening to us, believe me, the research shows that they are listening, they are watching, and they are learning from you. And I wanted to leave with this quote around this topic with how the foundation begins at home. And this is a quote from Daniel Goleman. He is one of the leaders in emotional intelligence. And he says that to remember that family life is our first school of emotional learning. In the family, he says, we learn how to feel about ourselves and how others will react to our feelings. This learning happens both through what parents say and do to their children and how they treat each other. So again, this quote really just emphasizes, embodies that our children are watching us. They're learning from us as much as we are modeling strong SEL skills as teachers and administrators in the school environment. At home, you are their first role model. You are the first one that they are learning how to control their emotions to. So even if you're recognizing as an adult, like, wow, I need to strengthen some of my own social emotional learning skills. I didn't practice this. There wasn't a handbook. No one taught me how to handle my emotions in school. This wasn't something that I learned. There are several resources, and we will leave you with that at the end, with things that you can do to practice your own adult SEL competencies. So some resources to support SEL. One of the resources that I absolutely love, I share these on social media, I share these with my families, they're called Action for Happiness calendars. And if you look at the website right down there, every month, this organization puts together these amazing calendars for anyone to use. They are actually translated in several different languages. Spanish, there's so many. Think of whatever language you can think of, they have translated it. So that this is an amazing resource. It's something that you can do daily to practice and strengthen SEL skills at home and learn how to practice it with our students. This is something that I actually use during the school day with students, but it's something that's quick and easy to start practicing and modeling good SEL competencies at home. Some other resources that we're going to provide you and links that we'll leave you to are character.org, Learning Heroes, CASEL, and Action for Happiness, of course. Learning Heroes in particular, it has a lot of support for parents. So this website in particular is one of my favorites for parents. It is translated. You can translate their website into several different languages as well. There are lessons on there on life skills for students to help you at home. There are different academic lessons. There are tips to help you support your student at school and at home. And if you have a chance, I would definitely look into that website in particular as a parent at home. And some of the other resources, oh, I'm sorry. So I'll let Elizabeth go ahead and share some of the other resources that we have.
Thank you, Julia. Yes, so some of the other resources are casel.org. We talked a lot during our presentation today about CASEL. And it is the collaborative for academic social emotional learning. And there's just so many resources for activities for you to do at home, but also really what is social emotional learning, some more definitions, great trainings for you to look at within that website. Others include Action for Happiness, Learning Heroes, 6 Seconds, Character.org. These resources have a lot of free information, free websites, free videos, free curriculums for you to kind of look at. and it will provide you with more in-depth research and information for how you can become more versed in social emotional learning. And a lot of these are available in different languages as well.
So also, you can follow us on our Twitter page for Hillsborough County Public Schools. It is at HCPS_SEL. If you are on Twitter, we're constantly posting different updates from our schools and all of the amazing things that they are doing to support their students at school with social emotional learning. We do post resources for parents, the latest research, and just so much more. So if you would like to stay in contact with us and continue to learn about social emotional learning in our school district, please follow us on Twitter. Once again, I am your district contact for social emotional learning in the Office of Teaching and Learning. So anything that has to do with what our teachers are doing, what your students are learning at your school sites, please feel free to reach out to me in the Office of Teaching and Learning. And then of course, we have Elizabeth, and I will let her go ahead and give her information out. But I just want to say thank you for this great for being with us today. We thoroughly enjoyed sharing all of our resources, and just to remember that we need each other. We need you at home and us as teachers and administrators at school and in Hillsborough County. We care about your students and that we're here for you. And just thank you for being here. And I will let Elizabeth end our presentation for the day.
Thank you, Julia. Yes, and I'm available as well. I work again within the Student Services Division within Hillsborough County Public Schools. You can reach out to me with any questions. We just appreciate your time today, and we appreciate your interest in this topic. We know that our students are very precious to us. We want them to truly grow up to be socially competent and excel in life, both academically and socially. And so we appreciate your time and hope that you have a very great rest of your day, and we will be in touch soon.